All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. I told you I was going to try to post some more stuff, so this one's probably not quite as exciting as the last one with the patina finish, but more of a maintenance issue. The back window on a Bronco is a common problem, so I thought I'd let you come along and help me fix this one. This one I call the OJ Bronco. If you don't know why, go back and look at some history. If you was around back then, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But OJ Bronco's a 95 302 V8 5-speed manual. I love the 5-speed manual, drive it all the time. It's one of my daily drivers. Got a little rust, more wear and tear than some, but runs good daily driver, everyday transportation. But the back window has recently kind of given up the ghost. If you ever try to use your back window on your Bronco and it makes this sound, then it's probably got this issue we're going to talk about today. A lot of people tell you, oh, it needs a back window motor. Realistically, you can actually repair these motors for a lot less money and quite a bit faster than replacing the whole window. I'll get into that a little more as we get into the actual process, but yeah, quick walk around. 95 Bronco, 302 5-speed, got a winch on the front. Of course, I did all that on the cheap. The whole vehicle's on the cheap. Bought it wrecked, had to put a headlight and a grill in it, straighten the bumper a little bit, but other than that, just a good old Bronco. Don't hurt my feelings to get a scratch on it. Take it up in the woods, hunting, camping, whatever. Always reliable, good rig, but kind of hard to roll the back window up and down when it refuses to work. So we'll hopefully fix that today. Come along, stay tuned. We'll show you how to fix it. Okay, so step one. Get your window down about that far. You want it down far enough that you can clear the opening and the seal in the top so you can get your tailgate open. Surely to goodness you can figure out a way to do that. Get a buddy to hit the switch while you pull down on the window. Maybe put some strips of tape. Put some strips of tape across here. Maybe get a hold of the end of them, pull down like you've seen people do maybe for getting in a locked out car or something. But if you can get it that far and get your tailgate dropped very carefully, that's what you're after. And then remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 little Phillips head screws to get the access panel off. Okay, once you get the panel off, again, just a number 2 Phillips screwdriver or drill if you want to be gentle with it and do it a little faster. Once you get the panel off, you're after the power window motor, which is actually kind of down under this area. This is the 3 bolts, I think, that hold the latch on, but you got to go underneath that to get the ones that hold the motor on. So in order to get to that, you have to bring the window back up a little bit. You can gently grab the window and kind of pull it up a little bit. Again, better with 2 people. Be very careful. The window will break if you're not careful enough. I don't like having the window hanging out on the edge, but you gotta also be careful if you try to brace up under it. That could cause a potential contact point and break that too. So you're okay to hang it out if you're not gonna work very long and you're just trying to get this repair done. So you're okay to just kind of shimmy it on out a little bit. But I'm gonna get this window out just a little bit more where you can see that motor, and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, got the window out far enough. Looks like you have to get the bottom of the window, which is that channel that it's mounted to, about as far out as this latch handle is. So if you get it about halfway through this bigger section here, get the bottom of the window about that far, you're gonna be out far enough to do this repair. So the best way to access everything, view everything, we're on the driver's side rear, go through this big opening right here on the tailgate. So the driver's side rear of the big opening, you see the big round cylindrical looking thing here. I'll point to it with my screwdriver. That's your power window motor, and that's the motor part, and the gearbox part is this part. You see these 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3. Those 3 bolts is what mounts the motor. And the gearbox inside that area right there meshes with the gears, the teeth on this big swing arm here. And as that traverses around, it moves this arm here, which is what's mounted to the channel at the bottom of the window. That's how your window goes up and down. So to make this repair, you're gonna have to take the window loose and these 3 bolts right here. 1, 2, 3. You're gonna need to take those 3 bolts out. You're gonna need a 1/4 inch drive ratchet with either a 5/16 or an 8mm socket. Either one will work. Okay, we've got our 3 bolts out. Pretty cumbersome to get to, but not bad at all, really. If you stick your hand in from both sides, maybe wiggle the motor to get them the rest of the way loose, whatever. But once you get the 3 bolts out, you go right in this hole here and get a hold of that motor. Kind of work it back towards the passenger side. I know we went in the driver's side to take the bolts out. Work the motor towards the passenger side. A little bit difficult to get to, but it can be done. Once you get it back so far, you can get it from here. The end goal is to get it out that hole, so give me just a second, let me do that. Okay, it's a little bit tricky to do, but here's what we're after. Get the motor pointed this direction with that part showing here in the big cavity. Motor is basically turned from here to here. And when it's under there like that, you got to kind of spin it around this way to get to that orientation. One of the big improvements, or I guess I should say benefits of this type of repair, is you don't have to unplug the motor. The motor runs all the way underneath that cover. I don't know if you can see those red and yellow wires. They go under that cover, which goes down there. You have to get down to a plug that's way there, hard to get to. Feed that up through the bottom of that cover. It's kind of a big ordeal to get that motor unplugged if you don't have to. So the goal is you get it to this orientation. Basically, it was pointed like this, and we rotated that end around this way to here, and now we can make our repair without taking the motor out from right here. Okay, so the next step, you got to take this screw out right here. You'll have to get in here and hold it with one hand while you take it out with the other. Don't jab the screwdriver through your finger. That's ill-advised and typically quite painful. So you take this screw out right here. In the moment of truth, we'll find out if this is indeed what I think it is. Take that screw out, just put it right there. And then this cover plate will have to come off. Like that. Aha, yep. Pretty much exactly what I thought. The inside of that is kind of just mush. It's not supposed to be. I'll show you what it's supposed to be, and it'll make more sense. Okay, so the way that operates, there's supposed to be little balls in here, for lack of a better description, and those little balls are what meshes all this together and transfers this shaft here turning into this gear rotating. And without those balls, this shaft turns, but this gear never rotates. Well, they make a help kit. Dorman makes a part number. I'll show you that right there. It is part number 74410, Dorman part. And that is it even says for Ford, window regulator gear plugs. And that little kit right there is only like $7, I think, last time I got one. I actually keep one on hand. Most of the time, if your motor turns but your window doesn't go up and down, it's that right there. So we're gonna clean this out and we're gonna put these in and we're gonna see if that fixes it. I'm confident it will, but basically, if your motor makes noise and this shaft right here turns, this is the shaft coming out of your motor. If that shaft turns and that gear does not, you probably need these balls. So get some brake clean, whatever you've got handy. Put some gloves on if you want to. Clean up all the grease, get all that out, and I'll show you how to put these new ones in. Okay, if you're like me, you like to know the how and the why and how it goes together and all that. So now that I've got it cleaned out a little bit, I'm gonna bring you a little closer. This gear right here is what turns when the motor turns. Okay, that gear meshes with this gear on the outside of this little plastic cylindrical disc. So this goes in here next, like that. As that gear turns right here, it meshes with the gear on this, and it turns this motion into this motion. Then those three little balls I was talking about go in these three little pockets on these corners of the triangle. And then this metal gear also has those three little pockets, and it goes right there. So as this plastic gear rotates, those balls absorb the initial shock, I guess you'd say, of the motion beginning, and cushions it a little bit. But they're also wear items. They're a type of nylon, which is made to cushion and also as a wear item. But then those little balls being right here is what catches the metal gear and starts it to rotate and mesh with this big scissor arm down there that your window's bolted to. So what happens when those little balls that are in these three pockets break, they disintegrate, and actually all this right here is little chunks of those balls. And for sake of time, I won't wipe the grease off of them to show you, just take my word for it. But basically when those disintegrate, there's nothing in here to catch the motion of this outside gear and transfer it to this metal gear to mesh with your window track. So what happens when you hear that noise, you're hearing this turn, you're hearing this Watt's disc turn, but this is not turning because the part that holds those two together is what's no longer in one piece and operable. So this little cover goes on there, and I mean, that's what it looks like. You pop this cover off, that one screw there, this metal gear comes off, and then this plastic gear is a little tricky. You got to get a screwdriver or something to kind of work it out there a little bit. Obviously, I've already cleaned it some with something to take some of the grease off. So that's what you got. It's really pretty simple. That worm gear setup on that disc there with that metal gear, and the three little balls goes in that pocket. And we're going to put it back together, put some grease on it, and I'm pretty sure it'll fix it, but we'll find out. Okay, I did a time lapse there so you can see how it went back together. Little goes a long way on the grease. You don't have to pack it full. Put a little bit around the plastic nylon disc, a little bit there on the worm gear, and you gotta use a kind of a small pointed screwdriver, flat screwdriver. Pull the new plastic window balls, for lack of a better description. I guess they're called plugs, so the official name would be a window plug. But when you get the plugs in there, you got to kind of pull them over to the corner all the way, make sure they're fully in the corners, kind of work that gear down on there. So now that it's all back together, I'll go up here and hit the window switch. You should be able to see the metal gear here rotating now that we've got our new window plugs installed. Okay, looks like it worked. So we'll go around, add a couple more pumps of grease for good measure here. Make sure that thing stays lubricated good inside. Doesn't take a whole lot, like I said, doesn't have to be packed full. Just enough to keep it lubed up and working good. And we'll button it back up and bolt it back together, and our window should be going up and down. Okay, like I said, the window was this orientation. To get it back where it needs to go, we took that gear end around this way, so now it's laying in there like this. So now is the tricky part. Stick one hand in that hole there, the other hand in that hole there, and pick up on the motor while you try to line up the bolt holes somewhere in this vicinity and get them started. So I'll try to hook up the time lapse here and see if we can get an angle where you can catch that happening. Okay, as you saw there in the time lapse, we finally got it hooked up, but I will tell you I had to get out the old magnetic grabber tool. I dropped the socket, went down in a hole. It was a little bit cumbersome, but I was able to get it. Used a 5/16 till I was able to get the 8mm back. But here's the 3 bolts, right there, and right there. And you got to be careful as you tighten up. Make sure this little pin right here in the middle, make sure that comes back up to the, there we go, got it to focus. Make sure that pin comes up through the middle. When you tighten those 3 bolts, tighten them, you know, a little bit at a time, moving back and forth in a triangle pattern till you get this pin. Make sure that pin comes up through this hole, because that's an alignment pin to make sure these gears mesh properly. So go real easy. Don't crank all the way down on one until you get all 3 of them started, and then go easy on each one until you get that little pin to align in that hole right there. And then tighten them down. You'll feel when you're tight all the way. It's, you know, it doesn't require a lot of torque, you know, about 1/4 of a grunt. It's 1/4 inch ratchet on, you know, a very small bolt, so it doesn't take much. And then when you get them all tightened back up, you never unplug the motor, so you shouldn't have to worry about hooking up any electrical stuff. You just got to put this panel back on, which should be pretty self-explanatory, but we'll go ahead and knock that out real quick. All right, folks, so there you have it. That's a quick and simple repair. I say quick and simple. I mean, if you had all your tools ready and you had the repair kit already purchased, you'd probably be looking at maybe, I don't know, an hour to do the repair. Probably less, especially now that you've got a good video instructing you on how to get to everything. So yeah, if you're looking to repair the back window on your Bronco, it should apply probably, I'm gonna say like 78 to 96 probably. Ford Bronco probably be similar. I'd say 84 to 96, 83 to 96 probably be exact same. So yeah, there's a quick and easy way to repair your back window. Again, if it's making noise, that'll probably fix it. If it's not making any noise, then you probably got an electrical issue, switch. There's some complicated issues going on back here at your key switch. I actually have mine bypassed because I didn't get a key to the tailgate. So I've got that one bypassed, but I also was able to roll my window up and down with the tailgate down because I also have the latch switch bypassed. There's a switch that requires the latch to be latched for the window to go up and down. I also have that bypassed for diagnostic reasons and simplicity. So that is something you'll have to get a friend to help you with, as far as maybe holding the tailgate closed a little bit to get the window up and down once you get it repaired. But yeah, it fixes it. Pretty simple repair. Stay tuned for more, hopefully cheap and easy repairs on Ford vehicles. I'm all about saving a buck and keeping the old stuff on the road. So hit me up with a comment. Let me know if it's helpful. Like and subscribe if you want to. If you don't, no problem. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.